Hey, everybody, welcome to More Than Meets These Guys. This podcast is a journey through Transformers from the beginning of the animated series with two old friends coming at it from different perspectives. Together, we go episode by episode with the occasional extra to look at how the show holds up or if it's a trap in nostalgia. We'll be looking at all things involved in the episode, whether there were real world factors that crept into the writing or if the episode was typical afternoon cartoon fodder. I'm Evan. I'm the lifelong fan. I'm familiar with all aspects of the franchise. Well, Ed here is familiar with Transformers, but it was really not something he ever got into when he was younger. So thanks so much for joining us. Ed, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great. Do you
Yeah.
do you happen to know what the most popular tabletop role-playing game is in the country of Japan?
Tabletop role-playing game. Dude, I have no idea where to begin with it. Let's go. What would you say? What is it?
It is actual. I know the answer to this.
Well, I
It's
hope you do.
Call of Cthulhu, the H.P.
Really?
Lovecraft RPG is by a large margin because everywhere else in the world it's like Dungeons and Dragons is the big thing, and everything else is like a very very distant, insignificant thing. But
No, Call of Cthulhu is kind of that has that very Japanese horror aspect, like body horror, like going on with all that. So, do you mean like the that big, convoluted, heavy board game that had so much stuff going on in the game?
no, not Arkham Horror, but like
Oh,
the actual pen and paper role playing game Call of
gotcha.
Cthulhu,
Okay,
where
I've
you
got
play
Arkham
like
Horror. I've tried to
um,
play it like twice, and it's stayed in the box for
it's not
some
very it's not very a very fun game. Call of Cthulhu, on the other hand, is very
reason.
fun, and I know this personally because I've been playing in it recently. I've been indulging in my one of my favorite hobbies, which I haven't done in a very long time, and I have a very fun group going on. But
Nice.
we've been doing this thing in before the games. We my One of my friends that plays with me lives by a gas station that sells wrap snacks. Do you know about wrap snacks? You heard of these things?
No, what's that?
They're they're potato chips or popcorn or like Cheetos or whatever that are they
I do
have
know them.
yeah, they have like a hip hop artist branding on them or whatever, and like a specific flavor unique to that personality, right? So we've been like in the last couple of sessions, we have been having a thing called a rap snacks rap battle where we get two of these and we state the case for each one before we even open the bag and predict which will be the better one, and then we have we take all things into account. We take in who the rapper is, the tagline that he gets, the graphics on the bag, and then finally the flavor. And we've been having a
Wow.
really fun time with this. So I figure I think I'm going to start dropping some of these as a little bonus segment in these because they were extremely funny and we had a really good time. Tonight was a dill pickle battle and
Oh,
it was very cool. So not this week, but next week I think I'm gonna have to drop some of this in here.
okay.
But yeah. But hey, so anyway, did you ever in your life did you ever have a moment where you knew that something was like just like over and done, like where you were like, man, this is jumping the shark, I think is the term that the kids use. And but
I don't think the
because
kids
and the
use
reason I
that.
ask is because what's that?
I don't think the kids use that. I think we use that.
We use that.
Yes.
We are the kid. We're the kids in America. Um, so to relate to this episode though, I was looking for spoiler. I was looking for a list of movies and TV shows that have like clones in them that deal with the concept of clones or whatever, right? And but see the thing is, but to be honest, I didn't really find a whole lot of really good stuff out there. I think there was like
Mhm.
a Twilight Zone or an Outer Limits that seemed pretty cool, but it wasn't really a whole lot to talk about. And
Mm.
so I was like, you know what, whatever. But I did get reminded of the movie The Sixth Day. You ever seen that?
I've seen like parts of it. I haven't really
The
watched it. Yeah, yeah,
Schwarzenegger movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Where he's fighting
Um,
against Satan or something. Satan's coming back or whatever. I don't
no,
know.
that's a different one. That's the one that came out before that. That's like End of Days, I think, or
Oh,
something
End
like
of
that.
Days. Yeah,
Yeah, the
sixth
Sixth Day was like
sixth
another
day.
was one that came out a couple of years after this.
Wait, is it like a dystopian future? It felt like I wanted to watch it, but I heard it wasn't really good, so I just didn't.
I think it is about that. See, I've never seen this movie.
Okay.
Um, but the cover has him in these like cyborg goggles,
Yeah.
and like it's like a head on, and it reminds me a lot, in a really bad way. It reminds me a lot of a lot of the promo images of Anakin Skywalker from the Phantom Menace. Remember the
Yeah.
ones where he had the helmet on and
Yeah.
the pod racing goggles? I hate that shot. I loathe that graphic. I hate seeing it, and I didn't want to see it,
But
but
Ed, this is pod racing.
this is
Yes.
pod racing. I have, man. We're gonna look. We're gonna have to talk about Phantom Menace down the road
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, please.
So, but anyway, seeing the cover of The Sixth Day was when I was like, "Oh, Schwarzenegger's over. He's done." Because he had a couple of movies like before that were like, he had a stretch where it was just banger after banger
Mm-hmm.
after
Mm-hmm.
banger. It was nothing but good. He had that stretch where it was like, he did like Conan the Barbarian, Terminator, like Predator, Running Man,
Commando.
Total Recall, Commando, even like
Running Man.
Kindergarten Cop and Twins. Those movies are great movies. And then he did but then the
Junior.
turn was like the left turn though was The Last Action Hero, where I
Yeah.
was like, oh, but with perspective now, I'm like, that movie is actually pretty decent. It's not good,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of fun, and I like what it has to say, because it's almost like a cool little like haha to his career up to that point, right? But then
Yeah.
he busted out and he did like True Lies, and
Which is
then
great.
True Lies is a possible, like, really good, one of his best movies.
Mhm.
Um, but he did some other stuff after that. He did like Eraser, and like Jingle All the Way was okay. It wasn't great, but it was like
Eraser wasn't bad though. I didn't mind it.
it was
Wasn't
okay.
great.
But he did End of Days. So End of Days was,
Oh.
he had never really done like a horror movie, really, and that was supposed to be like a horror film, and like, so I can't hate on that, because it was like okay, he wanted to do something different than just be like a big strong dude. He's okay. This is
Yeah.
a different shape. But The Sixth Day though, when that came out, when I saw that cover, I was like, oh, he's done. And he hasn't done anything good since then. He has not done anything good since then. Like maybe you could say The Expendables. Those
Those are fun
new
movies, but I mean, it's like, it's whatever. They're fun. That's it. Him getting all
those
his buddies
newer
together and doing action stuff.
yeah, those new Terminator movies are like, they're
Yeah.
all right, but
Yeah.
like, it's like I don't need Terminator movies outside of Terminator and Terminator 2,
Pretty much. Yeah. We watched Terminator 2 like last week, it still holds up so well. It's so good. Eddie Furlong, not so much, but the rest of the movie is great.
I read an
Okay.
article once that said that uh Christian Bale was also up for that role at the time. And imagine how much cooler that would have been if it was Christian Bale instead of Edward Furlong.
Yeah. Mr. I think he did what, Pet Cemetery, Pet Cemetery 2, and he did some other small things, but it didn't
Mhm.
really happen after that.
Yeah,
He just
but yeah. So you have any things? Yeah, you have any moments where you were like, in the moment you were like, oh no, this is it. This is done.
Yeah, okay. So I was just watching a little bit of Clerks 3 tonight, which from what I've heard is really good. Actually, it's a very like nice book ending of the like the Clerks, movies, the Kevin Smith stuff. And I think during during the, like, I guess, late 90s, early aughts, there's a lot of, I don't know, I had a problem with him just running jokes into the ground. It got to the point I'd watch something, I'd laugh, and then I'd watch it again, like, I think of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and then like the soft reboot or whatever of his franchise, the like the, I guess, the fan paid, like the, I don't know, crowdfunded one he did. I wanted to like it. There's a lot of things I wanted to like. Personally, I think I just don't like his wife, but I wanted to like a lot of things about those movies. But then going back and watching Clerks 2, and then watching when a little bit I did of Clerks 3, I was like, okay, this is okay. But I thought that moment watching those movies, it's just like, that he's done. He's just gonna go and do spoken word shows with Jay Muse, and that's just gonna be the rest of his life. He's gonna get like to like direct episodes of like whatever CW show is on, with Marvel, or not Marvel, DC show. or he's gonna, he's gonna write episodes of like Titans or something like that. And it's just gonna be it. He's gonna maybe write comic books and gonna go give his goofy, big, skinny grin. Like since he's got lost all the weight, he just goes all the time in the camera. I forgot this was his life's gonna be, but I watched this. I'm like, I kind of like this. It's kind of wholesome. It's really good. I felt kind of a redemption arc for him.
That's a lot of the way I felt about it too. I'm not really a fan of Clerks 2. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, to me, what that was the point where with him where I was like, oh yeah, that's it, this is done. And because like Dogma was the last good movie this dude made. But Clerks 2 was like, there was he tried to do all that other stuff. He did like he did like that some cop movie with Bruce Willis, and he did
Yeah.
he did like Jersey Girl and
See,
all that. He tried to like make stuff outside of what he normally does, but then no one cared, none of it worked, and so he made Clerks 2, and that to me was like really indicative of like his career, because it was like, well, like Randall and Dante ended up going back to the Quickie Mart, and it was like, to me, that movie was the whole plot of his life, was that I'm just going back to the Quickie Mart. And then but this was like, I don't know, this was like you said, it was like a bookend. It was like a I don't know, just like a little postscript. And I thought it was a lot more sincere than a lot of the movies, because like I feel like at some point his movies kind of became like about the jokes.
yeah, it
It's like the
became a
first couple
parody
were
of a parody of the universe. All the movies just became more of a parody of that.
right. And
Yeah.
because those first couple, they had like storylines that made sense. And then it was like, after a while he was just making movies that were just self-referential jokes, or like Star Wars jokes, and it was like, I'm like, man,
Yeah.
come on, dude, like
And
like you're a grown man, like.
I'll totally I'll be an apologist for Mallrats. It kind of holds up. I can't. Well, I loved it, hated it. Got to point out, not that I love it, but you know what? I can see it. It makes more sense now. But also coming back around to things like Jersey Girl. People wanted to hate that because it wasn't what he was trying to do, chasing Amy. Those movies are actually, in my opinion, they're not bad movies. They're pretty good movies. They're not
Chasing Amy is
great.
actually Chasing Amy is actually the best movie that he's ever made, like the
I don't
best
know,
like
but
film he's ever made, because it's not just these dumb jokes or whatever. It's actually a pretty heartfelt film.
yeah.
And I've talked about my love hate, and then come eventually cycle back to love thing with
Mhm.
Mallrats on this show in the past. So if you want to hear that,
That's
you
true.
need to
You
go
have
back
actually.
to like, I think it's episode 7 where we talked about that.
It's
But
probably why I went back and checked it out again. So yeah, probably could talk to you about it. Well, let me check this out, man, because we had these discussions a lot over the years. Like we'll
mm.
say, like, man, I don't know, I like this. Like, oh, okay, well, I'll check it out. Much like Transformers episodes, but yeah, man. What anything else you think of that's really like hit that moment for you?
um yeah, this is really dumb, but there was I've talked before how I like a lot of weirdo and like underground alternative and punk rock and music and whatnot, and
Uh,
like and I swear to God, I'm not trying to be this guy, but like I had heard Nirvana before Nevermind came out, and like
mhm.
I was a fan of Nirvana before Nevermind came out, and when it came out, I was like, oh, this is really good, this is really awesome, this is a really good record. And like, oh God, there was like, I was at some point, I don't remember where I was somewhere like at a beach or something like that, and like there was like a dude like with a sideways hat on, and he had a lowrider pickup truck. This is in like 1991. Like the dude I'm talking about
I
here.
know exactly the guy you're
I'm
talking
talking
about.
about a guy that looks kind of like Scumbag Steve, the Scumbag
Yeah,
Steve, right?
yeah.
I'm seeing with this guy, and he's got like a fluorescent yellow lowrider truck with tinted windows and a bass system, and this dude is just like blasting "Come As You Are," and I was like, oh, this is it. Oh,
It's
this
done.
is
It's
done, man.
done.
We're this is not ours anymore. This is not my thing anymore. And it
Yeah.
was I was yeah, that was yeah.
See the resignation in your face. Listen to
Yeah,
your voice.
man.
Yeah, like that's it, man. It's done.
It was, yeah, it was a look of defeat. It was a very much a look of defeat. And then, but then In Utero came out, and I was like, oh, this record's really good, and these dudes are still really good.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
actually
still love all those records, but it was just one of those things where it was like that was more like the moment when you know that like the thing that's like your little thing
mhm.
isn't like not your little thing anymore, and it was like, oh no 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 no, these people don't get this thing. These people don't know. You don't get the like lowrider truck dude doesn't get to have Nirvana.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair. I mean, honestly, I'm one of those people who I love to stick with a band that I'm really loyal to for years and years and years. And you've made no qualms about the fact you just don't like Bad Religion. And
you know,
I
I was like, I listen to Bad
after
Religion.
Suffer, after Suffer.
I
So
don't even like, oh, I don't even, you know what? Okay, here's the thing with Bad
yeah,
Religion, right? Is like my friends and I got that first record
yeah.
when we were in high school, and
Mhm.
it was like that record is a ripper. It's an absolute like garage punk ripper, and
How can it be any worse?
yeah, how could hell be any worse? We love that record, and that was a very formative record for us. And then um after Bad Religion put that record out, and this was before we'd even bought this, like they had like 4 records out whenever, at this time, but um after they put that record out, they split up for like 6 months or a year, and they
Mhm.
reconvened. They really overhauled their sound, and they did a lot of these like a lot of like harmonies, like a lot of like
Yeah.
3 and 4 part harmonies in these songs. And if you're used to just hearing that first record where it's just like Greg Graffin, I think was it
Mhm.
Greg Graffin that
Yeah.
did vocals on that. It's just his like kind of like raspy, kind of yelly voice.
Mhm.
But then like those like the subsequent like basically everything they've done since then, but like the ones that were out when we were kids, when we were in high school, was like
Mhm.
it was super polished, and it wasn't as like raw, but like those harmonies, like when we first heard those, we were like, this is like a barbershop quartet played at like triple speed, and it was really off-putting, and I'm never gonna listen to this. But the thing is, like there are Bad Religion songs that have shown up on like comps and like and now like playlists or whatever, that I'm like, oh, that song's really good, but I have intentionally never gone back and listened to any of those. I've never listened to Against the Grain or Suffer or Generator or Recipe for Hate or whatever,
Mhm.
like the classic albums or whatever. And the reason I haven't is because 2 years ago, when you and I were plotting this podcast out, we came up with a segment where we were going to swap records. At the end, we were going to swap
Fair.
records. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a record, you're going to give me a record, and we're going to listen to something we never listened to before and talk about it. And so
Yeah.
I've intentionally, for you, for you, I have
Just for
intentionally
me.
never listened to. I've never listened to those records. So one day we'll do that
Yeah.
segment, and I'll listen
Well,
to.
that's the thing though. I think I you take some introspective on bands you really like for a long time, and they're inevitably their sound changes. I've had that happen with Nick Cave of the Bad Seeds when it was just him, Nick Cave, and he's doing his own little side projects.
Mhm.
He kind of put all this effort into the Nick Cave and Warren Ellis soundtracks that he does, which are fantastic. And his regular Nick Cave albums are just bad. I
Oh
think
yeah.
once you get off heroin, it just goes bad. When you get clean and you're happy, you're not sad and melancholy and emo anymore. The sound isn't as good anymore. But I mean, it's like a certain kind of place you are. And I think with you know, I had this weird thing. I kind of discovered Bad Religion at the Gray Race, which is one of their more mainstream albums that they had come out. Then I started like walking back to each year and
Mhm.
previous to that, like Recipe for Hate, Generator. This kid in high school, he always we used to wear this Against the Grain T-shirt, and I was like, "What is that?" And he kind of like give me crap about it because I didn't understand what it was. I didn't know the band. So I like, oh yeah, that's actually a good album. So I started walking back those albums, and
Mhm.
yeah, I got to the point where I listened to How Can Hell Be Any Worse? How Can Hell Be Any Worse is such a California punk garage punk album.
Yeah, yeah.
It 100% is. It's so off-putting going backwards and finding that because like, oh, that sounds like other punk bands I'll listen to. Okay, it's not discerning enough to me. Whereas that harmonizing actually was something I kind of like I liked and walked back to its roots essentially.
Mhm.
So I came at it from a different angle. So yeah, I completely understand that. But I get to the point now where the guys are, they have to be in their 60s. This one, they're still putting on music. And
Like,
the last album I liked was only because I was out in California working at the time. I was working for a couple weeks out there, and it was during some of the worst wildfires, and I was watching the mountain on fire as we were going back from the job to go to the hotel to stay. And they wrote a song about um Los Angeles is burning is the name of the song. And it was like I it was he wrote it at the same time, and it's more than just the wildfires, but just all kinds of stuff.
mhm.
And I kind of like I had a connection to that, so that's really the last time I had a connection to their music. But I totally get what you're saying about that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's I don't know, there's a ton of bands that like I like that like I just don't really care about anymore, and
Yeah.
like they put records out, and I'm like, I don't really want to hear anything that Wilco does anymore. But like I love those first like four records, but like I just like I'm glad they still put out music. If they played live in town, I would go see them.
Yeah,
Same
totally.
thing with uh Radiohead, Weezer. Dude, like you guys haven't done anything good in years, but like I still like there's enough goodwill from those early records that I'm like, okay, cool.
My problem, I think, is with a lot of the music ends up being just being a clone of everything else. Speaking of clones,
Oh, that sounds
oh,
like clone sounds like a prime problem here.
it does. It is very much a prime problem. It's bad. Um,
That was pretty awful.
yeah. So this is a prime problem, written by Dick Robbins and Bryce Malik. Did you look at these guys at all? What they did?
We've talked about Bryce Malik on the show a few
Yeah.
times. Dick Robbins, on the other hand, he is a very prolific writer here. He wrote for Smurfs, Monchi-Chi, a lot of the plush cartoons. He wrote
Yeah.
for those.
Actually.
Um he did some Sid and Marty Krofft. He was
Mhm.
the developer of the Godzilla cartoon that I was a big
Yeah.
fan of. He wrote a lot of Laugh Olympics, which I was also a big fan of.
Yeah. Same here.
Um, but he also wrote some episodes for a show called Big Seamus, Little Seamus. Did you find this?
I did not. What is
Okay,
that? It sounds really
I
awkward.
had never heard of it either. And so this was a Brian Dennehy show where he was the lead actor on this. I'm going to read the synopsis for you
Oh,
here.
please! I
So
can't wait to hear this.
sit down
Yeah. Yeah.
and grab a
Sit in
beverage
my
because
seat. Okay, we're good.
all right. Arnie Sutter was the house detective at the Hotel Arsonia in Atlantic City, New Jersey, USA, prior to legalized gambling. After gambling was legalized, the Arsonia got a second lease on life and built a new casino which brought in more undesirable elements into the hotel. Arnie must now chase prostitutes, con men, thieves, etc., in order to keep the casino clean. Arnie, who lives in the hotel with his 13-year-old son Max, works for George Corman. Other characters on the show include assistant manager Stephanie Marsh, desk clerk Jerry Wilson, and Jingles Lodestar, an undercover security guard posing
Wait,
as a cocktail waitress.
Jingles Lodestar? Is
Jingles
that their real name?
Lodestar. That's yes, Jingles Lodestar.
He's not an extra off Spaceballs. You're sure, right?
Jingles Lodestar, yeah, man.
Dude, I gotta find that guy or girl.
Cocktail waitress. So yeah,
Oh, cocktail waitress. So yes.
I would
So
assume so. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, like that's gotta be like a showgirl. For the James name like G.
I don't know, man, but I tell you what, though, we're officially renaming this show to Big Seamus, Little Seamus, and we're only covering the canonical 13 episodes of Big Seamus, Little Seamus moving forward.
Did they all show on TV somewhere? Because I never heard of the show.
I never do. I'm sure that's a show that has lost to the ages. I'm sure that show doesn't. That there's probably some dude in like Iowa that has like every episode on VHS in his basement.
He's like me, except all this stuff behind him is like Big Seamus, Little Seamus merchandise. Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, this episode we go right into an earthquake. We don't there's no narrator,
explanation.
earthquake. Just yeah.
I gotta say, as much as we like to bag on bad animation, they did a really good job of doing a lot of heavy shadows and washed out features because of the light coming from this. And there's like weird filter on the I guess the cell shading, or maybe they added that later. Who knows? It's kind of like I don't know, rainbowish crystalline shimmer on the screen. So yeah, they're Sound or no, it's Starscream wants to go check it out. He wants to run in there and like Megatron stops, like, no, what are you doing? So
Yeah.
uh Sound he gets Soundwave to send in an auto scout, which is nothing we've ever seen before.
Yeah. So but they found some rare energy.
Oh
Like
yeah.
like these guys are like looking up for some records or something. They found some rare energy, dude. They found like a real hard to find like Miles Davis record here. They're real into this. But yeah, so what is this what is this, an auto scout? This is cool. I thought it was Ravage, but it was like just a little scooter
They
thing.
never made one. Third party company actually made one. I always like wanted to get it, but I want to pay like a lot of money for a little thing this big. But yeah, so it's crystalline energy. Actually, it's kind of funny. This looks a lot like how they depicted like the Energon in Beast Wars, the Beast Wars show. It was very crystalline. It was no like, put oil in a cube. It was all, raw. But there's this there's this thing they send Autoscott down there, and Megatron has the weirdest awkward line. Describe more fully about the crystals. He's trying to figure out what's going on with them. Apparently they're colonium crystals. And all he's
Polonium crystals, which like could you have been more ham-fisted with like clones? Like
but yeah, I don't know. The subtitle said coronium and colonium. So it's just kind of depends who says it. But he's just describing rutilated quartz. It's quartz with like rods of other stuff, and that's rutilated quartz. But apparently it's a special quartz. So yeah. Right on cue, the Autobots show up. And of course they all get up there and transform, and here's some kind of, I don't know, it was one of these weird lines that like he said something about, there's danger ahead, and Starscream goes up, oh, the danger you can handle is already here, Floptimus Prime.
Optimus Prime,
But
dude.
the subtitles say Flop the Bus Prime.
Right. I saw. Yeah, I caught
Dude,
that. I caught that.
the
Hey, so
subtitles are,
colonium crystals are the most rare and dangerous form of energy
yeah,
in the solar system.
just hanging
There
out.
are a there's a whole lot of them there.
Yeah,
If it's
it's
that
a whole
rare,
ravine full of them.
hey, there was a lot. There was a lot of yeah, dude. So yeah, but the Autobots are here, and like Jazz, they're all really impressed with the lights glowing off of these
Oh
things. They're
yeah.
really into this thing, and like Jazz even says that he would dazzle multitudes of music lovers if he could put on a light show like that.
Yep,
He really wants
100%.
to. Yeah,
He
he
wants
wants
to do
to have a show.
Laser Floyd, or whatever.
Yes, like the Blue Oyster Cult laser show.
Yeah, yeah. That's probably more speed actually. So there's,
Ooh,
there's
Jazz wants to hear like Parliament. He wants to hear like Bootsy Collins or something
he
like that.
does 100%.
Mothership.
Come on. But yeah, there's this whole thing where they're all attacking him, and like, let's say like the three seekers like surround him to fight him, and he starts spitting. Like, I'm sorry, there are only three of you. Thrashing less than four Decepticons at a time is boring. It's just like, man, what the hell?
Dude,
He got really really mouthy all of a sudden.
he did. He also hit a belly to belly suplex on
Yeah,
on one of them. That was pretty cool. Very Scott Steiner. I was into that. Yeah.
so yeah, Megatron has the Egyptian lover send out Laserbeak.
Oh, but you know what happened here? This is a first. This is a Transformers first here. They recycled an insult here. They called him a tinfoil
Tinfoil
turkey
turkey.
again.
Yep.
Yeah, it was one of the best robot insults so far, and
They're bringing it back.
they brought it back. They brought it back.
Yeah,
They played it
look
back,
at theirs
dude.
again.
I was totally down with it. And so Laserbeak's job here is to 3D scan Optimus Prime. He's gonna 3D print him.
Yeah, he gets he shoots Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime falls. So Megatron says he needs full body 3D scans of him, and so
Well,
I'm
buddy.
thinking like he's got to flip him over, stand him up, send him down. No, he's just like laying down. He's like, "Oh, you're so photogenic, Optimus." He's like laying on the ground with like his hands up and stuff, and like just he's like knocked down on the ground, and it was really kind of awkward. But So he needs these holographic images to clone him. But okay, look, he already did this in season 1. Remember he had that robot that was in the base that the Starscream's like Optimus Prime, and goes to like
Right.
she's like no 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 no. So he's done this before. It's a rehash. He's already done this, but apparently
Yeah.
this is a perfect clone. So they get back, it gets back, and Optimus Prime is out in the ravine. He's out. Oh, by the way, Megatron flew his rocket base to land by this ravine.
He made a big point of that too. He was
Yeah,
like, I'll be over here at
robot.
my temporary base.
This is a pretty nice temporary base. He's got cloning facilities in his temporary base. Um, so he clones Optimus Prime, which apparently, if they had this kind of technology, man, I'd be doing this all the time.
Why would like, and we'll bring it up in a second too. But the
Yeah.
thing is that I mean, this isn't really cloning, because cloning is where you replicate something on a genetic level.
Yeah.
And I believe that I meant to look it up to get an exact date, but there was a lot of talk about cloning around this time also in the real world.
Oh, yeah.
Real world factors have crept into the episode. I believe this was I don't have the exact timeline. I don't feel like looking it up, but the Dolly the sheep.
I think this
It
is a
came
little
bit
before.
later. What's up?
I think it's a little before Dolly the sheep, but I was actually kind of thinking the same thing.
But there was a lot of this was like an era where there was a lot of talk about that kind of thing.
Yeah,
where,
100%.
like, oh, like I think this is the thing we can do, and it was like, because it wasn't terribly long after this, and so
No.
would have had to have been in the works, and been in discussions for a while about that. So
And to be fair,
I'm sure
Dolly
that was the
lived
whole
about the
thing.
same.
But what's that?
Dolly lived about the same amount of time, so it kind of works.
But yeah, but they're not even like, but they're not cloning though. They're just making a copy. They're
Yeah.
like 3D printing another body, and they're making a copy of this thing. That's not like I don't really necessarily, if I burn you a CD, I'm telling you, I'm gonna clone you the new.
All right, man. Look, don't be specious. Look, DNA.
I'm gonna
We
clone you a Bad Religion album.
Oh no, I've already done that plenty. But there's so you have DNA. You clone DNA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do they have, man? Is it RNA? Is it ribonucleic acid? Come on.
Oh my God! What a
I was waiting for that one.
Jesus, I like.
So man, that's their life. If they are actually life, their life forms are living, and you basically clone the same version of them, isn't that the same thing? What makes something living, man?
Is it though? I mean, like, if you take an AI, like, is an AI alive? If you take an AI and you make a backup copy of an AI and you load it up somewhere else, is it the same AI or is it different AI?
Well, AI is not actually truly alive yet, so that's what I believe.
I mean,
But hey, look at this, man. Look, what is life? Do androids dream of electric sheep? What is a human? Come on. So you got to
speaking of do androids dream of electric sheep? I looked up oh God, what was her name that we just talked about just a couple of minutes ago? Jingles Lodestar. Jingles Lodestar. So I decided to look up Jingles Lodestar and see who played her. And she was played by an actress named Cynthia Sykes, who eventually became Cynthia Sykes Yorkin, who she married Bud Yorkin, who was an actor or whatever. He played in a ton of stuff. But anyway, Cynthia Sykes was in a lot of grown folks TV around that time, the late 70s. She was in like a lot of episodes of like Magnum PI and those kinds of things like that, right? Emergency Policewoman, Falcon Crest, Heart to Heart, a lot of grown folk shows, right? And then at some point she just kind of like dropped out of like entertainment for the most part. She did like some appearances here and there, but that was about it. But then she comes out of nowhere and somehow she was a producer on Blade Runner 2049.
Really? Huh, that's actually kind of interesting. I never would have put that.
It is.
Jingles Lodestar, though. Jingles Lodestar.
Jingles Lodestar.
Yeah. That is the most awkward name. I don't care.
That's a very anime name. I feel like that should be a character in like Trigun or something like that.
Yeah, that's the only way that could work. That's like some weird like gunman on the planet.
It's Cowboy Bebop or something like that.
Like, maybe. I mean, that's just such a weird name. This guy. whatever, man. That as long as it worked for them, I guess. So where were we?
There's a big battle here, and
Yeah.
so one side starts retreating here, and somebody says the creeps are retreating, and so being called a creep back in the 80s,
Yeah.
that was a big insult.
Yeah, it
Like,
was.
oh man, he's a creep. Like, oh Jesus, I don't want to get involved in any creeps. Yeah, that's it, especially on TV, man.
Yeah.
Creep, and another big one back then was jerk. He called somebody was a jerk, man. Ooh, that was like dropping a bomb on somebody.
Yeah, I call people jerks all the time now.
Yeah, like what a jerk, like whatever. But it's like oh, like it's a jerk, like oh, like on
Whoa.
like 1985 TV, dude.
Mhm.
Man, like what growing pains. If somebody had called like one of the Mike Seaver a jerk, man, dude, he would have fought that guy.
So yeah, I gotta say this though. I call back to the episode where there's a like a I guess clone or a facsimile of Optimus Prime, maybe a mimeograph if we're in the 80s here of Optimus Prime. And Starscream's like, or no, yeah, Starscream goes like Optimus Prime. So they're all on the ship together. Soundwave knows what's going on. He sent Laserbeak out to scan Optimus Prime, to 3D scan him.
Mhm.
They make a 3D model scan clone of Optimus Prime. He walks out and Soundwave goes, Optimus Prime. And you're like, dude, you were right there the entire time. You know what's happening. Why would you react this way? You're like one of the smarter ones. What the hell?
He's
So yeah.
arguably the smartest of the Decepticons.
Yeah, definitely the most
So
valuable.
the other thing here though is that they have like a reliable like copy, like a scan of Optimus
Mhm.
Prime, and
Yeah.
like almost an Optimum Pride. Like I don't like I don't know. Are you familiar with that video? Do you know the video I'm talking about? Of
That's
the yes Optimum Pride. I yeah.
anyway.
Listeners, please go look up Optimum Pride because it's hilarious. So they have a scan of him, and they could just make more Optimum Prides. They could just have an army
Yes.
of Optimus Prime. Why don't they do that? That'd be a good episode. Why don't they do that?
Because you got to. I guess they've all got to go in there and control them with the helmets. And what are they going
That'd
to
be
do?
cool. That'd
Well,
be super cool. If like they decided to not go fight, and they had like just like all like 10 of the Decepticons, like just with that cool looking. That helmet was really cool, dude.
that helmet looked like the helmet that Dr. Arkeville, genius of science, wore on his head. Um,
Not the famous scientist,
no, not the famous science, genius
right?
of
The genius of science, right?
science. So yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, it's cool, but they were like essentially then you're just drone fighting, and then it's going to turn to drone warfare. It's just not. It's not engaging enough, man. There's no.
It'd be a good episode. They can blow up the clone chamber, the 3D printing chamber after that at the end of the episode, just so you can't do it again. But
Yeah, so you're basically going to blow up the Terminator facility. You don't think they have another factory ready to make more Terminators? Come on, man.
yeah,
Okay,
that's a good point.
yeah, it's just that's a jump the shark moment.
Yeah, everything after Terminator 2 is Jump the Shark moment. The fake Optimus Prime, and the Autobots are back at the Ark, and
Yeah,
like he's just real like pushing the wrong buttons and like and dude, and so he keeps calling out for Bumblebee, but like Ironhide standing there, and I was like, oh, they misanimated Bumblebee. Oh my god, I thought I was like, oh, this is a really bad bit of animation, but turns out
no,
that Megatron doesn't know the Autobots' names. He doesn't know he knows the names, but he doesn't know who anybody is. So
you know the notes I wrote down from this was Optimus Prime is trying to America Online his way through Google and asks Bumblebee for help, but it's Ironhide and he's confused. Do you think Megatron know them by now? Like, dude, you've fought these guys for 4 million years. Like, I don't expect you to know like the new character who's in an episode. I don't expect know the main cast. I mean, really, at this point, you should know the main cast. Like Bumblebee, he's small and yellow, so he turns around, he's looking at Ironhide. And Ironhide's like, "What?
huh?
What? Prime? What?" The subtitles for this. I'm Iron Hyatt, Perm. Iron Hyatt,
Iron
Perm.
Hyatt. Iron Hyatt.
I'm Iron Hyatt, Prime.
Yeah, man, that's my favorite hotel to stay at is the Iron Hyatt.
Permanently.
So they're going through this whole thing here, and then but like the real Optimus Prime shows up, and he's on the like the monitor, right? And they go, let him in. Like, how are they going to keep him out? They don't have a door.
Well, probably they have a door to that room. That's all they have. He's gonna walk
He
into
was
the garage door and like let me in the back door, like knocking. It's
he
like
was
there's a key right
outside.
here.
Why would he just come in the way they normally come in? Besides, if there's like a security measure, like if there's like a scanner or whatever, that lets him in, or they have like a garage door opener or something like that,
Yeah.
he should have that. He's Optimus Prime. He's the leader of the dudes. He's the
Would make
main
sense.
guy. Like he should have the highest level of security clearance to get into this place. He shouldn't have to
Yeah.
ask to come in.
So yeah, like Spike and Windcharge are the only two sitting there going like what's up with Prime? They're like talking about their old senile uncle that they're like, is he okay? Do you think he can drive anymore? So it really occurred to me at this point, all the mini bots except for like Bumblebee all sound like old guys. Gears, Brawn, Windcharger. They have this like old guy kind of thing going on. Well, maybe Cliffjumper, but I mean he's Casey Kasem.
Yeah.
Yeah. They all sound like a bunch of old guys, or the littlest guys. And so he comes in, they like fake Optimum Pride. So it's like, shoot him, come on, bring him in, let's shoot him, essentially. Like, oh, okay. And they all do it. They don't say like, you know what, figure out what's going on, because all the Autobots are like, oh, okay, sure, man, let's do this. They all pull their guns out except for Ironhide. Ironhide
They're
jumps.
ready to just, dude. They're ready to just blast the guy. No
Yeah,
questions asked.
he jumps in front with a rifle. I noticed this because it's the rifle he has on the trailer of the toy. He never carries it any other time, but he shows up with his freaking rifle in his arms. Like, hold on, y'all, hold on. We should figure out what's going on first before we shoot anyone. He's the only guy in the room. Well, actually, Spike and Windcharger are like, whoa, guys, hold up. I know you want to shoot stuff, but let's figure this out first. So they decide to run tests. Like
that's a logical thing, because we have a computer here. We can scan these guys and figure out which one is which. But
yeah,
the problem here, we find out, is that Teletran 1 can't tell him apart because he's a perfect copy of his fake Optimus Prime is an exact copy, so he scans fine.
So are you saying he's a clone? Yes.
No, I'm not saying he's a clone.
Okay.
He's an exact copy.
He's a mimeograph of him. Okay, I got you. So they scan him, nothing really happens, they're the same guy. So the Autobots start saying, like, let's have a test of which one. The real one's gonna win, obviously, because
they're gonna make these guys like, this is like that movie Summer Camp Nightmare, where it was like you had to like prove you were innocent by going across like a rope bridge or something like that. Like, yeah, this was really weird. But some they have like this like they do like the feats of strength from from Festivus here. So they have like a shooting competition and then a race. Neither one of these things are things that Optimus Prime is like infamous for.
Well, hold on. Now you got to last episode we saw that they can make it to the geographic center of Africa in less than 2 hours. So I mean, the dude's obviously got some speed on him. So I don't know.
But I mean, he's not a renowned marksman.
You don't know that.
He's not renowned for it.
I mean, so look, they're identical. Why would a race work?
That's the other thing. If Teletran wants to say they're identical in every way, like, then everything should be even.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything should be a tie. Like, why didn't they just like ask them questions like, hey, tell us about this thing. Take them in two different places and tell us about this time on Cybertron 4 million years ago. And like, fake Optimus, Prime is going to be like, I don't know. I don't know. He didn't even know the names of his. He didn't even know the names of his dudes. Why didn't he just be like,
I don't know, Huffer. I will, Jack. I mean, yeah, of course you are.
Yeah, whatever, dude. Just if that was where he slipped, then like take them both in a separate room and just be like, with like 5 Autobots, and be like, name these 5 Autobots.
Yeah,
name these 5. Who are these people?
My old pal, Prowl. Like, no, that's Jazz.
Like, that's you, Burnout. Like, who? Like Sparkplug. No, Sparkplug's a guy. Is there a guy called Burnout? Is that a name? Is that a dude?
I'm probably I don't know. I think there is. I think there is. It's well, a Micromaster later on. Little small Transformers. Anyways, and they rehash names all the time. So if there's not one, I'm sure someone's made a character of that. But yeah, so
You're probably right.
they're identical. Why would a race work? So they all go like I'm trying to think how this all kind of played out. I didn't write this down in notes here.
It got real jumbled here.
Yeah.
So Megatron decides to make a clone of Starscream also because his master plan here is that they're going to send the clone of Starscream out, and the fake he's going to basically have the fake Starscream controlled by the real Starscream challenge the fake Optimus Prime to a duel. He's going to throw the fight, and that'll prove to the Autobots that that's the real Optimus Prime because he won a duel, which makes zero sense. See, but thinking back, what they should like, they inserted the clone. I'm calling it a clone from now on because I thought of something a minute ago. I'm going to explain it in a second, but
I appreciate your I'm right. Okay.
No, I'm not saying you're right. I'm saying that I came up with a way that I'm right.
Okay.
So they inserted the fake Optimus at that field, right? That ravine where the crystals were, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't they just have him immediately lead them right into the crystals and blow them all up? Because that was the original plan, was for them to go into these crystals and the colonium crystals and just blow themselves up. Why did they have to go through this whole ruse here? This is silly. This is a waste of time.
Dude, if there's one thing you've learned about Decepticons, they do not do anything like straightforward. They waste time. They constantly waste time.
If Soundwave was in charge, that's what they would have done.
But he's not. He's
loyal, subject, calculating.
Yeah.
So I thought of this. I thought of this thing, right?
Okay.
Like you and I are remember a time before computers were the way they are now, right? So
yeah, the way back times. Yes,
it was right. So like there was a period where you had like IBM PCs and you had like the Apple II or whatever, right? Those were the two, and then the Amiga came out, right? And then the Amiga died. R.I.P. I love you, Amiga. But then there was the IBM PC and there was the Apple Mac. Those were in the mid 90s. Those were the two operating systems, right? But if you got a Mac, you had an Apple. But if you got an IBM PC, like or an IBM compatible, it didn't have to be from IBM. You could any number of people made them. You could buy parts off the shelf or whatever, much like you can now. But or you could get a Gateway, or you could get a Dell, or a Packard Bell, which was my weapon of choice back in the day. Anyway, the term for those in the mid 90s was clones. They were called IBM clones. That was what computer folks called them.
Yeah,
so, you're completely unimpressed with this. This is look. I just dug deep into. I dug deep.
You try. No, you were trying to find a way to say I'm right without saying I'm right, which is cool, man. Whatever.
Hey, no, I didn't say you. I didn't say you were right. I'm saying that I was incorrect earlier. I'm saying that I had adjusted my attitude. I'm right.
Okay.
Right.
There you go. I'm right. Okay, I got you. It's fine, man.
Okay, fine. You're fine. You're right. You're fine. You're right.
Yes. So, yeah. So, look, Megatron wants to send out the clone of Starscream. Starscream freaks out. He thinks he wants to send him out there to die. There's no one paying attention in the Decepticon base. Does no one figure out what's going on? Yeah. So he takes off. Laserbeak goes after him. Laserbeak goes to he's like, no, you're not gonna kill me. Laserbeak has to go and grab him, bring him back into base. But when that door is open, Windcharger and Spike jump in.
So they sent Laserbeak after Starscream. Yeah. Starscream is the second most powerful of the Decepticons.
Yeah.
Laserbeak is probably like I don't know how many Decepticons there are at this point, but he's probably like the lowest dude on that list. Like, hey man, go fetch that guy over there. Like it's like, hey, Death Star trooper, hey, Darth Vader just took off in the space shuttle and the shuttle. Go bring him back. Like, what's he gonna do? Like, what's that guy gonna do?
look, Starscream's having a moment. He's having a real moment right now.
Yeah.
He's losing it a little bit. He's he's not in a good place. So
No.
yeah. So whatever happens, it works. Laserbeak brings them in, but Windcharger and Spike are like up on the cliffside. They see everything happen. They jump in. They know something's up. They've been on this whole thing the entire episode, and they start wandering through the base. And of course, they get close enough. They start hearing what's going on. And Megatron's like, "No, no, 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 dude, no! I'm not gonna shoot you and have you die. We have a cloning machine right here. I'm gonna make a clone of you." And Starscream's like, "That's a great idea. I like that." So
Mhm.
he makes a clone of him, and he says something about like, I'm like, oh, I'll say the most handsome Decepticon. He says
He was
something
really impressed with the way he looked. Yeah.
which is right up his alley, even like ego. And so Spike and Windcharger are learning all about this, and then there's, of course, because they have a delay reaction. There's a intruder alert, and they start leaving for the door is closing. Windcharger, like every other Autobot, puts Spike in danger, leaves him back there, jumps to the doors. So he's like, "Well, all right, see you later, I guess, dude." So Windcharger's gone, and and they find Spike, and of course they're like, "Hey, this guy again. We always capture this guy. Let's torture him. Let's hold him captive, and we'll make it harder for the Autobots to do whatever they're going to do to make this right again." So let me find notes for so Megatron has to say, "Chill, bro. Let's make a clone of you, moron." So anyways, they have the clone Floptimus, I'll call him Floptimus, has the one-on-one the Starscream. And they have this whole like one. It's a pretty cool fight, there's lots of action going on. They're shooting, it's pretty intense. And of
Yeah, but
course,
they're back to they're back to the one-on-one challenge, and
yeah.
that was pretty cool. That was kind of a funny bit before this though, where when Starscream was like admiring his clone, he's all like, "I
Mhm.
wonder if he's going to be as brave as I am," and like Megatron's like, "Oh, sure he will," and just like you're going to control him, and plops the control helmet on
It's like some subtle shade thrown in there. Yeah, of course he will be, dude. Um, so yeah, there's this whole thing going on. So there's this whole scene where they're standing looking at each other, and Optimus Prime just shoots him, blows him up. And the Autobots aren't like, "Whoa, dude, he actually killed him."
He is
As
the real Optimus Prime.
yeah, obviously he just blew him apart. He's got to be Optimus Prime because Optimus Prime always blows up Starscream. No, this should have been a huge red flag. Like he usually wants to give him a chance, a little mercy or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, that was like, huh. Yeah, but yeah, then there's all this other business that goes on, and then there's more confusion, and then the fake OP is somebody brings up Spike. Let's go save Spike,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
so,
He's
so fake
unimportant.
Optimus is like, oh, he's not. He doesn't mean anything, and then they were like, "Whoa!"
Whoa.
Everybody's circuits lock up, and
And
they
real Optimus Prime's over there going like, I was trying to tell you guys the whole time. I'm right here. Optimus calls Trailbreaker Trailblazer for a second. I just caught that.
does he?
Yeah, he calls him Trailblazer. I'm like,
No.
he's not a Chevy. Come on. So yeah, there's it's this whole like he's unimportant because obviously it's Megatron speaking. They're like, whoa, dude. Um, so the whole thing unfolds, everything falls apart. The whole plan is whatever. But I kind of glossed over the fact that Windcharger, when he escaped the temporary base, he went right down into the crystals.
Yeah.
And so they say basically like, "Hey, your friend's dead down in the crystals." Windcharger rolls out of there and gives us all a very, very, very soft science lesson. Like he transformed so his tires insulate him from everything going on. Because apparently, if you just have tires, you're safe from everything, man.
Well, because they established that like if circuitry touches those crystals, that it just
Yeah,
blows up,
yeah,
and so like, what's the proximity? And like if it's like circuitry with like a metal over it, does that count? Is it electricity? Is it
dude.
like what?
Tires,
This made no sense.
tires,
Tires,
tires.
and that was it. Aha, tires, and then the freeze frame, and then it was like the end of a Family Ties episode.
But there's this great scene where Megatron's he's lifting off, he's flying away, And he says like this, like he's twirling his mustache. You won't catch me, Prime, but here's something you can catch if you can, and throws Spike out of the side of the ship.
Right.
And like it was this weird, like, oh, like we got to wrap up this thing. Let's just throw him out the side. And Powerglide transforms and goes and does. It does one swipe, misses him, and he comes back around and catches him.
See, I felt like he did that on purpose. I felt like he was showing off.
Oh man. So yeah, that's kind of the end of the episode. They rescue Spike. The fake Optimus Prime is gone, and we're all good, man. It's everything's clean, no problem.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be really pissed if our Optimus Prime, like, guys, he was calling you Bumblebee, Ironhide. We've known each other for 4 million years. I know who you are.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a prime problem.
That was it. That was a prime problem.
That was a problem, all right.
Man, this was
It's pretty bad.
this you know, I mean, it was another one that it wasn't bad. It was just like it's like another filler episode that, like, who cares? Is kind of how I feel about it. I mean, the clone thing was it was a cool idea, but it was just ultimately it didn't matter, and
No,
I don't feel like nothing really advanced or got resolved, or you know, like nobody really got much of a spotlight here. I don't feel, outside of, you know, like fake Optimus and
Optimus.
even the villains. I don't feel like really did too much cool stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, this was just another one of those, like, yeah, it was just there, and not a whole lot to, not a whole lot to it. So I mean, I don't know, the animation was, it was all right. There was a couple of funny, like, loop parts with, like, Spike would like look around for a minute. It was, you know, it was prime material to rip off and do a you know, like loop like a DOS effects song or something in there, you know, have him like rapping or something.
Yeah, there's plenty of that stuff.
Yeah, the one with Ironhide, where he was looking around, where Prime was calling him Bumblebee, was that would have been a good one for that too. But so that, I mean, that said, though, I mean, it was like who cares, man? I'm gonna give this two oh god two IBM clone PCs from 1990 with Windows 95 out of 5. That's good. That's gonna have to be like kid brain and adult brain. Like a kid brain would have just watched this and been like, that was fine. It was Transformers. Adult brain is just like adult brain was like man, I literally earlier today I played an extremely fun session of Call of Cthulhu, and this was not nearly as cool as that. So adult brain gives it 1.5 failed sanity checks out of 5.
Man, you failed too many of those, you're done. Yeah. Honestly, it's one of those notorious ones. Animation was bad. It was just typical afternoon cartoon fodder. But I mean, it was fun. It made me laugh as an adult. As a kid, I'm sure I just like didn't really care all that much. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's you know, it's, yeah, I'll give it, that's pretty fair actually. Give it a 1/2 Flopton's primes out of 5. I mean, nothing really to write home about. It was one of those. It was a filler episode. It had a lot of the old characters, like a couple of new characters. That weird transitional stage of the season. That's pretty much it's fair. I mean, nothing else to really say about that. I mean, I laughed at it, but that was for the wrong reason. So there's that. But yeah. Anyways,
So do we have like? I mean, are there going to be like more of like this? Like, is it more of this that keeps going, or are we gonna? Or what's like? Because I kept hearing. I mean, you guys kept saying, like, in the Discord and everything, that like we were getting ready for like a lot of like really bad episodes, and I haven't really seen anything really bad yet. I've just seen a lot of things that are just kind of like just meh.
There's just great ones coming up. Atlantis Arise, Attack of the Autobots. So that's a ooh. Yeah, there's gonna be some pretty rough ones. Auto Berserk. City of
What do we have next year? We have
next we have yeah,
Atlantis Arise.
Arise.
Oh, that's a Douglas Booth. That should be fun.
Yeah, I
At the
mean,
least, that should be fun.
it'll be fun in the worst way possible. It'll be fun. Yeah,
See, and that's I'm totally down for that. Yeah, microbots.
yeah. Microbots is a good one. I like it anyways. The Master Builders, another. Oh yeah, the Master Builders is really good.
We got a
Insecticon
two-part
Syndrome.
coming up too. We've got
Oh,
Megatron's Master Plan parts
yeah,
one
one
and
and
two
two.
coming up.
Yeah. I can't wait personally for Auto Berserk. That's it's one of my favorite bad episodes, featuring Red Alert and Inferno, and a lot of Starscream too.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Cool. So
So
yeah,
yeah,
so yeah. Well, that's good to know because
yeah,
yeah, I definitely need some more fun going
yeah.
on. That's
That,
oh, yeah.
Ed, I've secured something cool coming up really in the near future. So we'll keep teasing that. A really cool little thing I've been working on for a while. I think it's about to come to fruition, but I'm not going to say anything else about it because I want it to be a surprise. So I'll leave that there. But I want to wrap up by saying thanks for everyone for joining the small but growing community on the Discord. And if you want to, it's pretty positive people around there, people who know varying degrees of Transformers. So if you don't know a lot, you're completely welcome. If you know way too much, you're still welcome.
I mean, I'm
On there.
I'm on there for God's sake. So I
Yeah,
mean,
God,
obviously knowing Transformers is not a prerequisite of being on
it's a
the.
train wreck every week. Yeah. So yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind on your podcast app, give us a little nice rating of 5 stars or whatever if you like the show. Little you say a little blurb if you want to, if you have a little time. If you're on watching this on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Share the feed with some friends that you think would be into it. That's how we grow, man. We don't really have any advertising or anything like that. So whatever you guys do for us, we can enjoy this and get this going, keep it going strong. So if you just want to send an email, like you just, you're shy, you don't want to, get involved in a community, that's completely cool. Also, send the email to morethanmeetstheseguys@gmail or Edhatestransformers@gmail as well. So, yeah, that's going to be it for a prime problem. Anything else for you, man?
No, I didn't even. I forgot to look up a quote for this week. I was so.
Dude, come on. This episode's flopped in this prime.
Oh God. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well, we're going to go cut it there, guys. Until next week.
Roll out.
There you go. Thanks, man.